Welcome back to War Room Pandemic. We're live on the John Fredericks Radio Network on Real America's Voice, now Dish Channel 219. On Comcast, it's Channel 113. I want to thank the folks out in Denver for helping produce this show. They're now under also DDoS attack, the Wallnau 50 Cent Army, and other bad actors throughout the world desperately trying to shut this show down. Not going to happen. Also, Newsmax TV, Chris Rody and the team down in Palm Beach. I'm here with Maggie Vanderberg, that is Fog City Midge, and Jack Maxey, my co-host. Raheem Kassam is in at Trump headquarters in Philadelphia. Brother Bergwam from Real America's Voice is out in Maricopa County. We've got John Fredericks that's en route to Georgia. We have Jenny Beth Martin down at the War Room headquarters for the Trump campaign in Atlanta. We're going to go to her later. We're also going to get Richard Baris on here to go through big data, polling, all the analysis of where we stand exactly. We're going to talk about the federal lawsuit that's going in. This is a war room. This is wartime. It's time to man up. We're not backing off this. Get focused. We're going to figure out the legal strategy. We're going to figure out the analytics. We're going to figure out where these votes are. And we're not going to allow this thing to be stolen from the American people. I want to bring in now Lance Wallnau. Lance, talk to me about the evangelicals, and talk to me about populism, and talk to me about where people are right now. I know people are worried, some people are concerned, but we had a woman interviewed, a deplorable interviewed by Ben Bergwam of Real America's Voice a few minutes ago out in Maricopa County, and she said, look, this is bigger than Trump. This is actually bigger than the Trump movement. This is bigger than the Republican Party. This is about the nation, and this is about the ability to have a free and fair election. If we don't do that, we're a banana republic. What say you, sir?
Yeah, I say it's bigger than that. It's about communist China and the Davos crowd and the global reset, and there's nobody more pregnant with apocalyptic anxiety than evangelicals. We are the people that gave you the sci-fi end time series. So these people, this army of, I'd say, 30 to 35 million law-abiding, faith-filled folks voted for Donald Trump, 81% of them. It's an unprecedented degree of unity in a company which is normally divided 50-50 between Democrats and Republicans. And that's a large part of the surge of people watching what you're doing, Steve, because our folks are just now awakening to the fact that it's not just enough to vote, and it's not actually enough to pray. You have to not only pray, you not only have to vote, but you actually have to strategically show up. And like because of you, we put like 2,000 or 3,000 people in polling centers, and I'm getting the reports right here from them, and they're shocking. We had one Detroit Cabo Arena person there who says this represents 503 precincts, 930 poll workers, and this guy's texted me in the toilet because he had to sneak the report out to me. The original pay was $250 per day, but I'm told that Zuckerberg helped fund the $600 a day, and they're all 99% trained Democrats. The ratio is 10 to 1 hired poll workers, virtually all Democrats. The system is easily rigged. I'm hearing about the electronic tabulation machine, the Dominion manufactured machines. They've all been malfunctioning here, and the only IT specialist is a partisan Democrat. Isn't that convenient? So I'm here as a poll challenger in this arena. But people are almost all carrying, they're not supposed to actually have any insignia or wear any attire to indicate political affiliation, but the ACLU union organizers and Black Lives Matters are all wearing insignia on their shirts. So and then of course it goes on to say that the shift is changing, but fresh activists and workers are coming in, and they're seeking to tabulate a whole bunch of new ballots because boxes are still waiting to come in. Can you imagine this? Multiply this in the other states.
Lance, I've got Richard Baris I got to bring in. What I'd like to do, if you're available, I want to come back to you in like 2 segments, because I got to ask you, not just about this, but I also want to ask you, you brought up the Great Reset, and I think we need to frame this for the audience. Can we come back to you? I got to get to Baris, make sure we get all the analytics out, and I want to come back to you.
I want to hear the analytics too. Let's go.
Okay, fine. You hang, Lance. Okay, perfect. Lance Wallnau, and he's talking about the Party of Davos crowd in the Great Reset. And now I want to bring in the rocket scientist and a guy that really took a star turn on our Tuesday night coverage for 8 hours. I got so many compliments throughout the world. We had 8 hours of pure analytics, legal structure, no happy talk, just the facts, and people love it. I keep saying this: the deplorables, hedge fund guys, political operators. What they want is information. They don't want spin, and they don't want happy talk. So I now bring in Richard Baris from Big Data Polling. Richard, we've been going around the country kind of teeing up your appearance here, and I just want to go to some active things. Number one is Georgia. We had a report from John Fredericks to start the show off. We're going to get Jenny Beth Martin from Tea Party Patriots, who's actually down in the war room, to call in later. They're saying now, I think the Secretary of State is saying when the ballots get counted out of Fort Benning or around Fort Benning, and I think Fort Stewart, which is near Savannah, when the active duty military gets counted, which I think they're saying is 9,000 ballots, when that gets counted, Trump will actually be ahead when all ballots are counted in this round between 300 and 500 before any recount. Can you walk us through Georgia right now, where you think it stands? I want to take Georgia first.
All right. So, yeah, I would probably say that's the better bet, that those votes will break pretty heavily for Donald Trump. He's got about a 4,100 vote deficit right now. We just saw a couple actually leak in. So that was only about 2,400 a little bit ago. And now it's bumped up a little bit. So that was coming in around this, we have the Atlanta suburbs. They're about done. But there are some military ballots out in Georgia. They tend to break pretty Republican. And that, at least is more than likely, will put Trump a little bit in the lead before the recount. Just a little bit.
So how did this go? This is what you got to explain to the audience. What happened to the denominator? The other night, you and other people, you're at about 6%, but you said at one time it might be as high as 11%. Then all of a sudden the bottom fell out because just all of a sudden other votes started showing up, other ballots, 35,000 here. Just walk the audience through what actually happened, and to your mind, as not just a polling guy but a statistician. What happened to the flood that increased the denominator?
Right. So all night we were getting a range of how much was left out, and in Fulton and in DeKalb, and now we just saw another county which is a little bit to the south, Rockdale. They say they got a little bit more out as well. You can see it right there. This was 99% yesterday. Now it's back to 95. This is the problem we have. These ballots keep just showing up. I mean, if you really don't want to be accused of something, then you should do it more transparent. This doesn't happen, guys. Not in numbers like this. So we're only as good as what we know is left.
No, but this is to help the audience out here, because people here, people tuning in now vote. They don't live and look through the mechanics of actually voting or counting the vote. How can you have a state as sophisticated as Georgia? I'm a Southerner, and Atlanta's like the Gotham City. How can you have something that is as sophisticated as Georgia, right? The home of Augusta National. You got Buckhead. You got. I know you got some rural counties down south, but it's a highly sophisticated 21st century state. How can you have it that stuff just keeps showing up? What's that term? Just keeps showing up? Because guys were telling me today, oh yeah, we just got 6,000 ballots in from some rural county. How is there not some master central repository that at least knows what's out there? Maybe they don't have physical custody of it, but at least they know what's out in the regional office.
Usually we have some kind of an idea. Usually there's a deadline, a reporting deadline, and whether you're not allowed to count them at a certain time, but you're not allowed to actually count the results, but you do know what you have. And this has been a quagmire from the jump on this thing. And you're looking at Twitter just yesterday, and curing ballots is one thing, but you can't go out and get new ballots after the election, and you go to say something about it, you get pulled off of Twitter, but that's where we're at. I mean, we just not in these numbers, guys. We have never seen, I don't know if you got the map up now. We have never seen DeKalb tell us they're 95% in, and Fulton tell us they're 99% in, and yet there's another 50, 70,000 ballots floating around. Just do the math real quick, guys. That's not 5%, okay? It's not 5%. It's a quagmire. We really saw COVID used as a predicate for them not being able to do their job.
So before we leave Georgia, I want to keep the map up if we can. We don't need to go back to us. Let's keep the map up for the guys in Denver. I want to keep the map. The audience loves them, and I think they're very illustrative. In your mind right now, as we sit here at almost 6 o'clock or a little after 6 p.m. on the 6th of November, the year of our Lord 2020, remember, audience, this is going to be remembered in history. If you think Florida in 2000 was big, this is 10 times bigger. It's going to be talked about decades from now what happens in these days. That's why you need to represent. Where do you think we stand right now and over the next couple of hours? Will Georgia, at least in this round, before any recount, before going in and attacking any of these ballots, when Georgia wraps up, will that be a couple of hours? How many votes are outstanding right now, and where do you actually think? John Frederick says, the Secretary of State and others are saying Trump by 300, right?
Yeah.
But obviously that could change. What is your best guess as you see it right now?
So he said that before, and let's leave that map up. He said that right before, and it's a tiny little county, it's hard for me, right before Rockdale changed from 99 to 95. So let's assume they have a couple hundred more votes out there. It could be Trump by 100. I'm not kidding.
So Rockville they just show up all of a sudden. This
About an
little
hour and a half.
county has it's unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand something. This is the greatest nation on earth, the most powerful nation on earth, and this is what we're down to, right? This is what we're down to. Little county. By the way, we're little county guys. We love the hamlets out there, but there's just something not right. But right now, as you see it, Richard, you think they wrap this up in Georgia in the next couple hours?
It should be by tomorrow is what I was told. It's possible, but they basically were trying to give it a little bit of a push until tomorrow. And maybe that's why. Maybe Rockdale is why. So maybe that was why it was apprehensive. It should have been today, but it looks like by tomorrow.
Joe Biden's is he still on to address the nation? Is that now official? Is he going to address the nation tonight? Is that? I think they tweeted early. He was going to address the nation. What, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight? Is that still on?
That probably is. I mean, I don't know, but
Midge,
they want to put that away.
Bye. A Decision Desk HQ has called this for Biden, correct?
They have.
Has this? I haven't since the source is Associated Press called it.
8 p.m. today.
8 p.m. is Biden. Biden's going to address from the car dealership. You got a good chance to check some new Toyotas out. So make sure you get some new Toyotas. We'll be able to check that out. The feckless old man wandering around. Is calling him a feckless old man, is that cyberbullying? Right? We're getting everything. We're inciting violence, cyberbullying. Richard, let's leave. Now it looks like Georgia may be tomorrow. Okay? And you got to do tomorrow. You know why? Because Trump's still up a couple of hundred. There's got to be somewhere else that's got a couple of thousand ballots out there. They got the printing press going somewhere. So obviously it's got to be tomorrow morning. Let's go to Arizona. We just had a live report out there. People are fighting mad. What is going on in Arizona? And I want to walk through the math here slowly to see if there's enough votes out there for President Trump to actually overcome this lead.
So we were talking with people out there yesterday, and I'm talking about their data crunchers. I mean, earlier today. And they gave it a little bit better than a 50-50 chance, right? We got a couple dumps in Navajo, which is the Navajo Nation right there. That dump earlier today, plus what we got a little bit ago, is a little over 2,000 votes. It broke 66-32 for Donald Trump. That's important because he needs every bit he can to get out of Apache right here, which has a little bit left out. That's the suburbs of Phoenix, too, and that really will matter. Pima was supposed to come in better for Biden yesterday, but it didn't. Trump actually took it. So because they're burbs, it gives Trump a little bit of hope that margin won't be that bad. And he really needs whatever's left in La Paz to offset that. There's a little bit in Cochise that could offset that. We got something out of Yuma just a little bit ago, and it wasn't great for Trump and Biden. It was about 4,800 votes, and they damn near tied it. So it really does come down to Maricopa County. He has got to close that gap in Maricopa, and where those votes are coming from are not really urban. They're not urban Maricopa. It's suburban and rural. That was later in the vote. So last minute drop-offs and same day election vote, that should be very good for Trump. It was 3-1 R, and then even the independents that voted at that time period, they were 2-1. So he needs that, though. He needs that to put it over. Looking right now, okay.
Yeah, he's down how many raw votes right now?
About 39,000. And with Yuma, they split that in Yuma down here. So he was at almost 39,800 before. When Yuma came in, he just had a little bit of an edge. It wasn't big. So it really is going to come down to how well he performs in those burbs and the rural areas in Maricopa.
In Maricopa now, though, unfortunately, when we look at this math, he's going to have to do a lot better. I think your a number was 61%. He's going to have to get 2/3, 75%. Of the Maricopa vote that's outstanding right now is how much? How much raw vote in Maricopa County?
About 235,000 ballots. So yeah, he's got to do well, and then he also has a little bit of Cochise that can help him, and so he's got some, and La Paz. La Paz did very well for him before.
But I'm saying, don't blend those. Just let's just stick to Maricopa. In Maricopa, he's going to have to get far higher than the 61%. Yes,
well,
sir.
again, they're having the same issue in Arizona that we've seen in Pennsylvania. They don't have a firm number on the provisional, so they have 142,000 more early ballots, but they also say they might have an equal number of the provisional ballots out there too, or a significant number.
Hold it, and that 142,000 is addition to what we got out there now?
No, this is what he's talking about now, but they're also now saying that they have provisional ballots that they have not calculated the number of yet as well.
So what I'm saying is that when I look at the Maricopa County of 235,000, does that include all the provisional, or the provisional ballots going to be over and above that?
Well, it's unclear. This is what they're saying
Okay.
from Maricopa County, that they have 142,000 more early ballots to process and a smaller number of provisional and other ballots, according to New York Times 2 minutes ago.
So, Richard, to Jack's point, this is what confuses me. You take the thing's got millions of votes. It gets through those fairly quickly. These were dropped off because these are votes that were dropped off or voted on November 3rd, right? Because they didn't have any late time. How are we now to Friday evening at 6 o'clock, which is 3 full days? How can we still be messing around with 100,000 ballots, a couple 100,000 ballots that are from Tuesday, when we've gone through and processed millions of other votes that have come in? Why did he have? Because for the untrained eye and for the just a little guy at home, it certainly looks like Broward County and Palm Beach, that somebody's holding back to see what's the number. Give me the number, and then I'll make sure these things flood in.
Yeah, we
so
have
there's a
Phoenix
number of
over
Trump.
here. That's what I for the untrained eye, I wish I had something that was a little bit more comforting for them. But at this point, who we're talking to, and I'm talking about Republicans, they say it's transparent now. It's stopped, I guess, for people to get eyes on it. And now here we are. And they actually, on those provisional ballots, by the way, they do feel pretty good about them. They think they're Trump areas. So we'll just have to see, though. But right, at some point, you got to just get through the math here. You just got to get through it.
When do you think, I want to ask you the same question as in Georgia. Georgia now you believe is going to be tomorrow morning. The Secretary of State a couple hours ago thought it'd be like 5 or 6 o'clock today. That's now been bumped. They're finding other ballots down there. In Arizona, to your best guess, when do you think this thing gets brought to, that every ballot will be counted, at least in this first, and it sounds like they're going to have to go to a recount. When do you think the first round ends, that we get actually the count of, did Trump carve back into this 39,000 deficit?
We should still get quite a bit today. And then I guess it looks like we're just going to have to wait on Apache until tomorrow, because all we're hearing on today is this next dump out of Maricopa. Really, La Paz and Cochise, I don't know why they haven't gotten the rest of theirs in. I thought we were getting La Paz in full today, but apparently we're not. And we're going to wait on this Maricopa bump right here. And then nothing, I guess, at Apache tonight. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not hearing it.
Is Apache County have like a different set of rules than the rest of the country? Do they not have to No, sir. I mean, this is what I think is driving people crazy. I mean, guys trying to throw themselves off buildings because it's Kafka-esque, right? You're in this nightmare, and the nightmare can't stop because every time you turn around, there's another county. Apache, and this is what people. I love Arizona. I've lived out there. My brother's out there, the family's out there in Tucson, north of Tucson. It's absolutely, I love that state, and I love the desert. But you've got some places that you're talking about, Cochise County, Apache County. they're tough. I mean, these are not suburban areas. They're not urban areas. These are remote places. So Apache, I guess, now is part of the suburbs of Phoenix, as this Phoenix expanded so much. But why is Apache taking so long? Does anybody ask that question?
Yeah, no, they don't really ask. They're not aggressive, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I said the same thing, and I said, well, I need to know what kind of vote we're talking about, because this is the problem with them not giving us precinct level data. So I have to pry it out of them. Where these suburban votes, they are in Apache. These are supposed to be suburbs of Phoenix votes. So this is the dump that would have been better for Biden that we're waiting on, that I talked about the other day. In Pima, that was the other dump that was supposed to be ugly for Trump. He won it, so it looked bright for him. This is what we're seeing. The later the vote, the better it is for Trump. I'm a little bit surprised that dump in La Paz, or I'm sorry, Yuma, that just came in before we went on. I'm a little bit surprised at that. So already, that changes the equation a little bit, but it was a draw. You got to think, though, Team Trump wanted a little bit of a net out of there. Yeah, and then the rest, that from what we're told, the rest is really, the big chunk is suburban and rural Maricopa. But we'll see. I've never seen information change like this, Steve. It's crazy.
Rich, is this within the bandwidth of a recount right now, or they have to go extraordinary and go to state court or federal court to get a recount? Is this outside the margin of error for a recount?
No, it could be, because I think it's actually likely, because I don't see Biden gaining any votes here. It's just a matter of how close does it come. They were still pretty confident that Trump would get it by about 10,000 votes when all was said and done. But that last dump in Yuma makes it a little less likely. But if it does end up, we're talking 10,000 votes, then somebody's going to get a recount.
Okay, on our broadcast on Tuesday night, I want to shift up to Pennsylvania. On our broadcast on Tuesday night, there was a moment in time, sir, as I remember, this is before we started freezing, that Donald J. Trump was up 800,000 votes in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I just want to repeat that. He was up 800,000 votes. In 2016, we won it with 42,000 votes, right? And it was always by the hair of our chinny chin chin. We were never up 800,000 votes. So 800,000 votes, to me, is kind of insurmountable, right? It's like, okay, we're going to win this. Worst case, when you do the math, back of the envelope, 250 to 300,000 votes, which I think most people were doing. And you looked at what was out there, and you did the math. They said there had been, a million some voted. They did the breakdown. Trump was going to deliver, the deplorables were going to deliver 2.5 million votes on game day. The Democrats 1.5 million. You had an 800,000 lead. There would be this. You cut into it, and at the end of the day, 300,000. You win by 350,000. President Trump now is losing in Pennsylvania. Can you just walk our audience through? How do you go from 800,000 on Tuesday to on Friday afternoon, he's down? And now realize we just got some votes and it got it closer, but he's down, 25,000 votes right now? Is that what it is? Down 20,
it is
down X amount,
or 14,000 now.
14.
Yeah.
Okay, we count the 15,000 helps. So 14,000. Walk our audience through, who are already banging their heads on the wall right now. Walk them through how we got here.
All right. So everyone goes right to Philadelphia. All right. But in truth, they've been bringing in votes all around this surrounding area. And you can see now Monroe flip back, Erie flip back. And there are allegations, just so everybody understands, there are allegations of the post office running in votes days after and backstamping these. I've never seen Erie County flip that big on election day. And we're looking at turnout rates. They're astronomical. But all of this, little bit at all these late arrivals, chipped away, and then got Philadelphia in striking distance to dump. Hillary Clinton had about 580 out of here in 2016. The difference is, you knew what they had on election day. There was none of this holding back. The reason why everyone felt so good about Pennsylvania on election day is because it was understood that they had about 560 in there, as opposed to the 7 and change from 2016. And then that just changed, Steve. Everyone thought they were holding an additional 250 that night. That turned in to a significantly higher number. And then, as did Allegheny, by the way, where it pulled him down below 40. And on election night, if you remember, he was at 43%, approaching the turnout level from 2016. This
I have
is the
very
problem with these
important
ballots.
Hey, I have very important breaking news. There's a tweet out here from Jack Schaefer, I think at Politico. Trump's campaign on Friday named Dave Bossie, one of the president's closest political confidants, to head up its legal team. The addition of Mr. Bossie as an attorney comes 3 days after the poll closed. Dave Bossie, my partner in all my films, has been named the head of the legal team. Now, here's what's interesting. Dave Bossie's not an attorney. Dave Bossie is a former fireman. But Dave Bossie, it ran investigations for Newt Gingrich when Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House, and Dave Bossie ran the investigations into the Clintons, okay? He was the nemesis of Hillary Clinton. The whole reason I got into the whole Clinton business was through Dave Bossie. Dave Bossie, if you go to your dictionary and flip to tough hombre, Dave Bossie's picture's there. This shows you Dave Bossie was sent out to Arizona to kind of get good order and discipline. They got Boris Epstein out there, others, Charlie Kirk's out there. Dave Bossie flew back in the middle of the night, got back here at 3 in the morning, and now has been named, Jack Schaefer of Politico is reporting, that Dave Bossie is the head of the legal team. They don't have Dave Bossie there because he's Louis Brandeis, okay? But he's a tough hombre who never quits. Right, so my point is, you got now heading up. He's the kind of guy that can get in a room and say, "Hey, gentlemen, we're heading here, right? Figure it out." And that's what they've needed right now. This is the kind of leadership, the kind of courage. This is the kind of President Trump likes Bossie. He's known him for decades. He likes Bossie because Bossie is a very tough hombre. And now you got Rudy on the team. You got Sidney Powell on the team. You've got other lawyers that are going to be named, lawyers that are quite close to me, hint, hint, that are going to be part of the team. So it is, Trump is not backing down. People think he's going to roll over and concede. Okay, so Richard, we got about a minute left here in this segment. I'll bring you back, but just give people your summary. Where do you think we stand in 60 seconds? Where do you think we stand in Pennsylvania right now?
I think Pennsylvania's call was premature. We're hearing that 100,000 ballots may be challenged, and that would be obviously huge. And then there is potentially another 100,000 provisionals. I know it's crazy, and they actually think that may be good for Trump. They may lead to Trump. These were red areas that had problems. So I think this was premature. I tried to make my voice known. It's not my show. I got overruled.
You're saying premature because this was a decision desk that made that call?
Yeah, we just get we get the APIs from them, and they make that call and it comes through. But there is seriously 100,000 ballots that could be challenged in a court, and you got to wait on that. You got to wait on that. I don't know if they would do that the other way.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with Richard Baris. We got a lot more to get to. I want to give a hat tip to another honey badger, the one and only Jack Maxey. That brother has been on these provisional ballots in the Keystone State and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He's relentless. You know why? He knows people over there. Says, hey, they got provisional ballots all over the place. Where in the heck are they? This is going to come down. It's going to be a tight vote. It's going to come down to everything, right? And they're all going to get counted, particularly if people, the crippled woman with the daughter, you stand in line for 6 hours in the freezing cold, that vote's got to count.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to be back in a moment. Jack Maxey, Maggie Vanderberg, the one, the only wizard, that would be Richard Baris. We're going to come back, War Room Pandemic, to go through it all next.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. We have Richard Baris from Big Data Polling. Richard, so what you're saying in Pennsylvania, it's still kind of a mess. And when are we going to cut through the fog of this? You think she was talking, the Secretary of State was talking, she would be able to wrap it up today. I don't know how Joe Biden, now that's down to 14,000, how he's going to address the nation tonight, right? I don't know how how's decision desk declaring him when this thing's very fluid. You got 100,000 they're going to challenge. You got another 100,000 of the provisionals that might be mingled in. Who knows? It looks like fairly chaotic, right? They're going into federal court for a lawsuit. How do you, as a guy that does this for a living, how can they actually come in here and call something when you're only 14,000 vote difference right now?
Yeah, the idea was that Philly had a little bit left, Allegheny had a little bit left, but I mean, the bottom line is that's not even the issue. How close they are. Even if they were to squeeze out another 50 or 60,000 net between them, whatever, I'm just throwing out numbers, there have been questions about ballots everywhere. And of course, Trump is not just going to lay down and not do anything about it. If he succeeds in getting some of these ballots tossed, then this can seriously change the equation. I just don't know. I don't know I do know. Never mind. But there would seem to me to be a race to this thing. Really can let it play out. Pennsylvania, this is not an early vote state. First time really doing something like this. I don't know how anybody would anticipate anything other than Florida circa 2000 on steroids. It's a race to the finish when it's all chaotic. And that's crazy.
The Democrats at one time were telling us, though, this is going to be election season. You got to, remember Zuckerberg said, hey, it can't be called an election night. You got to go into a thing. Now they're in a hurry to jam this up on Friday so that on the Sunday shows, they're going to bury Trump all weekend and bury him on the Sunday shows. Do you see legitimately the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania really having any grounds to call this thing this evening, or do you think this has just got to play through the weekend?
That, I guess, really, I mean, she can do what, I guess theoretically she could do what she wants, but that would be incredibly irresponsible. But almost as irresponsible as the Attorney General tweeting things like he tweeted, right? So nothing would surprise me at this point. I just don't see how you do that. Again, there are provisional ballots which typically don't break toward Republicans, but it's pretty much everyone's understanding that those provisional ballots could be pretty Trump friendly because of where they come from. So when you have this kind of a margin and then you have questions surrounding ballots that were counted, I don't know how you do anything other than let it play out.
Okay, we're going to be back on tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning for our Saturday show. Give our audience your best guess as you sit here now at 6 o'clock, 6:30 on Friday. When we come on the air tomorrow at 10, where do you think we're going to stand in Pennsylvania?
I think they're going to try to roll it. I do.
You mean you think they're going to try to call this tonight or tomorrow morning?
They're either, maybe some of the networks won't call it. I think generally, Steve, they're waiting on Fox to call this thing in Pennsylvania. I really think that there's a general feeling that they need Fox News to call this thing. And I'm not picking on Fox. It's just the truth. Everybody knows it, right? So, that really depends. I'm not a Murdoch. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that really there are enough questions that it would be irresponsible to do that.
I want to go. You, Richard Baris of Big Data Polling, think it would be irresponsible until all these ballots are in, because it's so fluid. Until everything's in and worked out, you would not call it, correct?
Yeah, not right now. Not right now.
You think it would be irresponsible?
I do.
Okay, you were very vocal the other day about being irresponsible in Arizona, and now we're in Arizona and we're still trying to figure it out. That was called. Correct me if I'm wrong, Midge and Jack Maxey, was it 8:30 at night on Tuesday? Yeah. It was with the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 3 or 4 days ago, this thing got called. We got thousands of people outside of Maricopa County. They got teams fighting. They got teams counting. They got stuff coming in from Apache, from Cochise, from Pima. Heck, where we were trying to build a wall, they got stuff coming in from down there.
And this is 3 days ago. This is false news, false information, and yet none of the platforms have taken CNN's thing down or told them that they did
Fox
this wrong.
News.
Or Fox,
Yeah.
forgive me, Fox, yeah.
No
one's gone after them.
So I want to go back. Go walk through your theory of why that was done at that time, Richard, and what do you think it triggered? I want to go back to Tuesday night. Why was that so important that it happened then and it happened with, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just doing the math off the top of my head. I think they had 73% of the vote in at the time, which the conservatives went nuts. But if you really add in the real denominator, if you really go back and add in all the ballots we know now, it was probably closer to 60% or less when they called this. You had a whole theory. Walk through your theory why you think that happened.
Yeah, I stand by that. I got a lot of messages over that comment. I stand by it 100%. I mean, the president was breaking the margin he needed to overtake that early vote everywhere. I think Fox did that so we could set the narrative generally that he lost a must-win state so they could, end the counting for the night and then, whatever happens later happens later. But they're standing by that decision. Now we see how close this race is tightened. Even if Biden ekes it out, is there anyone seriously who could defend that kind of call, which was made early when they left Florida on the table for 2.5 hours after it? It was for narrative. It was for narrative. Fox knew exactly what they were doing.
And by the way, have they called North Carolina? I'm not sure they've called North Carolina. It's outrageous. No. This is not even, and I see where the firestorm is coming, but hey, they're going to have to deal with it. I want to go to Nevada. Before we lose you, let's go to Nevada. What's the situation out there? There was a couple thousand votes. I noticed a lot of headlines that Biden, the more you count, the more you double. You think that most of Clark County's gone. Walk us through the Richard Baris analysis of where we are, and is this potential, does Trump have any path to win Nevada?
Yeah, so some of the later breaking ballots did go for Trump at a little bit better of a pace, but this widened out because we got more vote in Clark County. And you can see now Trump's vote dropped a little bit below 45, and that magic number really is 45. There was a little bit of confusion there because they were supposed to halt for the time being, and they dumped another 6,000. There are reports, I don't know, I can't really be certain if they're going to throw those out or challenge them, but they put those 6 in the pipe, and now here we are. And now there's a little bit still out in Washoe. Washoe tightened the more that there was vote reported. What's remaining outside of Clark is Douglas. He does have a path because it's a narrow one, but it's there.
What's the spread right now? How much he's down by the raw vote count of what?
He's down about 22,000 votes, about 22,400, 600, roughly around that. It's about 1.8%.
But here's my point. We were in a situation that we were down 6,000, 5,000, 7,000, where you could see the path with these votes out. Now that you're down 22,000, are there enough potential pockets? How many votes right now do you estimate? And I understand they're adding to them all the time. Do you estimate total is outstanding?
I really wish I could give you that, and if I tried, then Clark may come up with another 50,000. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm getting used to this now over the last couple of days. Normally, I would tell you that there's probably 150 out there, but I don't know because this is a crazy situation. Really, Clark was supposed to have been generally done. If you guys remember, that number was 95. It's now down to 90 to 98. It's just, this is why you need precinct level information, granular precinct level information.
Here's what I think is very different. I think here's what's very difficult for the Trump people to not just comprehend. I think they comprehend it, but to assimilate it. You're looking at these states, and everything keeps changing. You can't really get and we're talking mathematics. We're not talking, some theory of English literature or something that's opinion. But the facts keep changing so rapidly, particularly in every direction. What happens is that ballots keep showing up, and generally those ballots, when they're showing up, are leaning towards Biden. So the stuff keeps happening. And now we're on Friday evening. It seems like for the last 24 hours, we've been talking about hundreds of thousands of votes or tens of thousands of votes where we're dealing with millions of votes. And there's the average person sits there and goes, there's just something not right here. You just keep all these counties around the country, principally and eventually in Democratic controlled either states or Democratic controlled cities, urban areas, things keep popping up, keep happening. And when they keep popping up, they lean towards their candidate. And so, naturally you're going to have people, and yet the mainstream media is sitting there going, he doesn't have any, baselessly talking about fraud. And they never mention, if you notice on MSNBC and CNN, they spend very little time. We spent 8 hours with you the other night. We're spending an entire hour with you right now. They cut in for a little bit of Steve Kornacki, which he gets his 60 seconds, or a little bit of King, and he gets his 60 seconds. He throws a chirp and punches the button, and then they're back to talking about how Trump's basically thing. If you take their entire coverage of the maps and the analytics, it's for a whole day. It's 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes max, right? With no real analytics. They're punching the thing, and you see in Nevada, and they say something and move on, and they don't connect it back to what's happening when things were happening. So. I know you've never seen anything like it in your life. What could be the solution in the next day or two, and what can the president do as far as taking action that can drive this, at least in this round, to some conclusion? So then we know where these lawsuits have to go, where the recounts have to go. We get our arms around where we really stand, because we know, and I keep saying this, Biden, his claiming victory by AP doesn't mean anything. They have no standing. The media's sitting there, he's going to claim, and guys are talking to the president, concede. The Constitution's a contract. The contract has a way that you elect the officials around the contract, and they have remedies, because the guys that did it with some of the smartest lawyers in the world, some of the smartest lawyers in history. We're now in a contract dispute about how this is supposed to be adjudicated and actually gotten down to. And yet guys are talking about the non-legal process, having decision desks or Associated Press call it. I don't care about them calling it. We're waiting for Fox News to call it. Do you think we're going to have the Republic thing on Brent Baer and that Russian dude, Arnon, whatever his name, Mishkin? Arnon Mishkin and Brent Baer and Lachlan Murdoch, right? Those are going to be the three. And remember, on the Transition Integrity Project, we told you 2 months ago when the guy gave the interview to Vox magazine, the buried lead, 10 paragraphs down, he said on election night, the three most important people were Rupert Murdoch, Lachlan Murdoch, and Zuckerberg. We'll throw in Jack Dorsey, right? No, but they called it a month ago about the suppression of information and what was going to be promoted. And Richard Baris nailed it at the beginning of this. He says they're waiting on Fox News to call. Fox has no standing in this. They're a part of the information warfare, but they have no standing. They have no official standing. And look, I've been a massive Fox News supporter for many, many decades, and a guy that thought the world of Roger.
They had
Ailes
more
and-
standing before 8:30 on Tuesday night. I can tell you that. I mean, our listeners, almost to a man, say that they are rejecting Fox. They feel like they've been betrayed by the one institution amongst the media that they thought was relatively straightforward.
Well, and that's why there's so many people tuning
coming
in
here,
here,
yeah.
which
That-
is, of course,
yeah.
why we're under attack.
This is why we got the DDoS attacks. This is why they're taking us down everywhere. We're going to
On
keep the
Vimeo, Twitter, Instagram, excuse me.
We're going to keep
YouTube.
banging this with the Real America's Voice guys. I want to go, Richard. We're going to let you go. I know you got a family you got to take care of. The last thing I want to ask, because we're on tomorrow. We're going to try to track you down over the weekend. Although we definitely want you to spend time with your children and your wife, but you're doing a hero's work here. When do you think all this comes together over the weekend? Just leave our viewers. They're going to get ready to go have some dinner at the 7 o'clock hour. In their mind, the deplorables, and people throughout the world, because we've got guys in Australia, Europe, the Middle East, China, everywhere. What should people think? How's this weekend going to play out in your mind?
Yeah, I think, I really do believe that they wanted to try to wrap this up. So when people go into the weekend, they hear those Sunday shows that, okay, there's finality to this now, and they can try to paint and pivot. And the reality is what you just said. The AP and Fox News don't call the next president. We have procedures. The states handle this. They certify their results. And courts hear challenges if there are challenges. But I do think the American people are in for a bumpy weekend ride. I do, sadly.
Richard, how do people get to your? Give your Twitter account. Give all the access. You've become a real star and somebody people can depend upon to go through this. How do they get to you?
Right, so they can follow the results on the map at peoplespunditdaily.com, and they can follow me at peoples_pundit on Twitter.
Richard, Godspeed. Fantastic. Spend some time with the family. We hope to be able to use your good services over the weekend. You're a good
Thanks,
man.
Steve. I'll be here.
Richard Baris in the cauldron. Guys come through. Do we have Lance Wallnau? If we bring Lance back in. So Lance, before I ask you about the Great Reset, you were kind enough to sit through this. And you are one of the leaders of the evangelical movement. The evangelicals are the most decent, hardworking folks on earth. What are people thinking out there now when they see this process and they see what's happening and they see that new ballots are being generated, and all of a sudden in some county, and the Secretary of State of Georgia had talked to John Fredericks and other people. They're going to wrap this thing up, I think, by 5 or 6, at least the first round. Trump is going to win 300 votes, 500. We realize that's not a victory because it's got to go to a recount, but at least it's a marker, right? It's a marker. And now we're hearing there's still counties they're finding in Pennsylvania. Jack Maxey's been on these provisional ballots. Jack Maxey's been hammering this since Wednesday.
Well,
and now voila, on Friday, we understand there may be 100,000 provisional ballots. And oh, by the way, they may unfortunately have been mingled. There may be some mingling problems, so they got to go unwind it.
And what was very interesting about it, Steve, from what I could gather from the people I spoke to, these were people who vote every year. So they knew who not to send that requested ballot to, and so they're checked off the list. They have to fill out a provisional. But all the other Grundoons of Pennsylvania got ballots whether they requested them or not. There was no checking whether they mailed theirs in and decided to vote on game day.
Maggie, something stink.
All of it stinks. Everything happening right now stinks. And there's so much stink on Twitter. I can't even.
Lance Wallnau, I want to bring Lance in. So, Lance, where do you think the evangelicals, the decent, hardworking backbone of this country, what do they think about this?
Well, I'll tell you what. Write this down. Conservative backlash, 2022. No matter what happens, there's nothing worse than taking law-abiding, hard-working, stand in line in the freezing cold, rally-attending, pro-life Catholics and evangelicals, and then rubbing their face in a ripoff and telling them they're irrelevant. You have right now a standing army of millions that are literally coming towards you, coming towards real America's voice and saying, all right, what do we do? Because we're the guys that actually are lawful. We're not out there burning buildings down. You don't have to put plywood up to protect yourself from us. And they're looking for marching orders right now. We are, by the way, Charlie Kirk is one of us, and Laura Beth Martin is one of us. The evangelicals and pro-life Catholics are ubiquitous all over the place. And I'm telling you, there's a backlash brewing. And we've gone through the same vicissitudes you've gone through. I listened to you when you had the date that would live in infamy, and I felt the same way. And then we had pikes on the lawn. I felt the same way. Now we're kind of finding some semblance of balance in the middle. And we're saying, you know what we could do? We could show up at these where the election is being validated. We could show up in mass, and we're a peaceful crowd. We'll go down there with guitars and sing. But I do think there needs to be a demonstration for media because we're in the information war time right now. And we need to put on a demonstration that, no, we're not just going to be domesticated house pets. We're actually wanting our vote to count. We're going to show up. So we need some instruction there, Steve.
The self-organizing nature, so the live thing that Ben Berquam did, a great reporting he did from Maricopa County. One of the women there said, we had a 96-mile caravan that just self-organized over the weekend for Trump. You saw 54,000 in Butler. The campaign had no money. All the outside events, the anti-communist demonstration in South Florida that led to the Hispanic vote of 47%, these are all connected. It's the beginning of a great awakening. Do the evangelicals and conservative Catholics, do you think they're embracing that? Do you think they're sitting there now saying, hey, there's something greater? The most powerful thing in this 2 hours has not been Baris and not been what we talk about in the numbers, and he's fabulous. It's been that woman out in Maricopa County said this is bigger than Trump. She's a Trump. She got Trump buttons on. She got a Trump hat on. She goes to every rally. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than Trumpism. This is the most important and this is the defining moment of our generation right here. Whether we're going to let this be stolen or whether you're going to stand up. Do you think the evangelicals and conservative Catholics believe this is the beginning of a great awakening?
Well, I believe right